Welcome to the Power BI quiz show, the first one of 2021. And today the topic is DAX Studio, and who else to present DAX Studio quiz than Darren Gosbell, who is the author and creator of DAX Studio. So welcome, Darren. Nice to have you here and doing we just have a brief talk around DAX Studio and how amazing it is, how many things you can do, and I told you how impressed I was to. It's just I'm blown away of how good tool you have been building in your spare time. Um, yeah, just speechless, actually. Sorry to interrupt you, Darren. Your audio is not coming through, so I have to go and look why it's not coming. Yeah, last week we had some hiccups in the video stream, and this week we have some trouble with. Yeah, because you're coming through to me, so it's something done. It's something with this OBS Studio, and I will just. Yeah. I'm hear you clearly. So nothing problem here. So it's just. Uh, I'm just going to another screen and no audio here, and still no audio here. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. Let's see if there's anything in here. Uh, no, it's actually the first time I've been having trouble importing audio from the Teams call. It should be here. Let's. This is. I will. I will just stop your broadcasting of your video and then start it again. See if that is helping in any way. No. So no audio coming through. This is not the start of 2021 I was hoping for. Oh, it's strange. And I have changed my own audio. Maybe I should try and shift my own audio to another microphone just to see. Now I'm using another one, and then I can try and unplug this one. And This,
Oh.
yeah. Now you're coming through. Woohoo!
That's good.
So, yeah, people are writing. They can hear us. Yeah, sorry. I've been using my new headset, and for some reason it collided with the audio from the Teams call. I cannot figure out why, but that's how it is. Now we are ready to get again. I'm sorry, there was nobody hearing anything what you was saying about DAX Studio and how it all started. Actually, I can ask you.
Yeah, so back when they first released the tabular engine, they didn't really have a client tool for writing DAX queries. And even in the early days of Management Studio, the advice was just use an MDX window. So you had no IntelliSense, you had no metadata pane, you didn't know what tables and columns might be in the model, or sometimes when you build a model, you think, did I put a space between the name or not? And you just have to write random DAX and get errors and try and fix them. So I started writing the tool that I wanted to use, and still going.
Oh yeah. So it's been here for quite some years now, and it's just evolving and being better and better. And you just told me before we start this that you have a new release coming up soon with some nice features, right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm working on adding some features to make it easier for new users. I know a lot of people that are brand new to Power BI and DAX, they often try and write a measure expression in, and then you can't execute it because you need to do a evaluate and a table expression to write a DAX query. So I'm going to add some stuff to our website with a whole bunch of examples around the AdventureWorks model and some links on the editor that they nicely fade out once you start typing, but they're there on the sort of a help watermark.
Yeah. So sort of what there's also been building in Power BI Desktop, where people are being helping to start.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, and you're calling in from Melbourne. Actually, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, good morning to you. It's really impressive. You have been up so early to do this quiz, and I've been looking really, really forward to a quiz around DAX Studio.
Yes, it's summer and really early morning here, not late on a winter evening like it is for a lot of you.
Yeah. We have snow outside here, and it's all dark, and we only have a couple of hours with light. So yeah.
Yes. I actually normally go for around about now. I often go for a walk for 40, 50 minutes, and
getting the day
quite
started.
Pleasant. Yeah, before it gets too hot. It was about 32 degrees here yesterday, so it's nice to get up.
Yeah, if I only could say it was too hot here in Denmark, maybe 2 days a year we are having it too hot.
Yep.
So yeah, once again, welcome and thank you for the introduction. And yeah, the quiz is all around DAX Studio. So let's start by looking at a place where you can find some information around DAX Studio. If you are just starting DAX Studio, or if you have been using DAX Studio for some time, then Alberto and Marco have created a completely free course around DAX Studio and Virtupack Analyze that is also actually part of DAX Studio. So here there's a lot of content, DAX tools video course, and I believe this course will also be extended also to cover tabular editor at a time. But for now, it's mostly around DAX Studio. So I can highly recommend this, and it is totally free for everyone to use. And then you also told me you actually have some upcoming, you're doing a lot of webinars all the time. On your own webpage, you're linked to some webinars done around Power BI tips, where you have four videos, right, explaining the different parts of DAX Studio.
Yeah, Marco and I did 2 each, and I think each of them went for an hour. So it was they're sort of good if you want to do a deep dive that goes through all of the features. So Marco covered off a lot of the performance tuning, and I covered off a lot of the general features. And then I've actually got another one coming up next week with Reed Havens. We're doing a live stream with him. And then one in February with Reza Rad. So.
Wow, nice. Yeah, and Reed and Wes has also been guest actually here, and also Marco I can see is actually part of the chat right now. So if he's also participating in the quiz, then I believe he's a good contester for winning. But let's see when we come to that part. So we don't have a quiz without some prizes. So for the quiz today, we have a gift card to Lego.com. We actually have a gift card for every quiz on $100. Yeah, sorry, my dog is just going crazy. And then we have a raffle prize, which is a Red Academy membership for 1 month. So just have a look at some of these prizes. So here we have the Red Academy website, where there's a lot of content. Not anything around DAX Studio, I believe, but a lot of other content around Power BI that we will have as a raffle prize for one lucky attendee. And then for the grand prize, we have $100 for Lego, and here are some of the things you can buy for yourself, for your little ones, for anyone. And there's a lot of stuff here, and of course you can also top it up and buy something that is more expensive if you win the quiz, of course. And then for last, I'm not showing my screen. This is just embarrassing. So yeah, I have been showing a lot around this DAX Studio course once again, and then we show the prizes, the Academy Red Academy membership that you can find here, and then the prizes for Lego. And then now this is the list of the attendees from last week, the quiz we had with Marco Ehrenmüller around localization in Power BI and what possibilities you had around that. And as you can see here, Nexus, Aka Ricardo from Spain won the quiz. It was a really tough quiz, so 4 out of 10 was enough to win the quiz 2 weeks ago, and we had a lot of people joining in. So Darren, will you help me and pick a random number on this list?
Yep, I would probably go for 18.
18. So let's see who is behind number 18. And we have Tony Lanza from the US. So congratulations, Tony, winning the Red Academy membership. Tony was ranked 11 last week, but had random index number 18. So congratulations to Tony. And now for the DAX introduction. So for those of you who have not been using Kahoot before, you will go to kahoot.it on a mobile device or a secondary screen, just not the same device that you see on the same screen that you see this YouTube stream, because then it will be difficult for you to both answer and see the questions. And we will provide you a game pin shortly that you will put in on kahoot.it, and then please fill in your full name or Twitter handle as your nickname. So in the case you win either the raffle prize or the grand prize, that we can find you. And then please be aware that we have this 3 to 5 seconds delay, which means that you will see the answer opportunities slightly before you will see the actual questions. And this also means that you will, when the timer says you have 30 seconds, you will probably only have 27 or 25 seconds. So don't let the timer run out, because then it's too late to answer. And we will start with one question that's not awarded any points, just to get everyone started. And then we have these 10 real questions around DAX Studio that Darren created for us. The faster you answer, the more points you will get. So let's go over and start the quiz. So the game pin is loading. And there's some beautiful sound here, but for different reasons I cannot send the sound to you, so I will just go in and mute it. So let's see who is joining. A lot of familiar faces and some new ones, and please just join in, Marco, and let's see if you can get the Lego. It's completely deserved if you win the prize. And yeah, everyone attending is so 16 attendees so far, and let's see if we are getting some more joining. So just let it wait a little. Yeah. So, and you can always join in later if you are not able to join now, because the first question is not awarded any points. So nearly 20 people joining in. So yeah, let's just start the quiz and have the first question coming up. So this is just to see where you are, the time of day, and Darren, that is morning for him, and for me it's evening. So what time of day is it for you? Afternoon is night, so mostly evening, some is in the morning, and some at the night. So I believe night, that is around Asia, and morning, that is either in Australia or in the west coast of the US. Right now I believe it's 11 a.m. there. So thank you for all for joining in, and then let's have the first question that is awarded points. So when was DAX Studio first released? So how many years have you had the pleasure of being working with DAX Studio? So yeah, Darren, it was 2012 when you released the first version.
Yeah, and it was just an Excel add-in at that point. It was you had to run it through Excel because the only thing that existed was Power Pivot.
Oh, yeah.
The Power Pivot add-in for Excel 2010 was the first time we saw the tabular engine, and that was released in 2011. So
yeah,
it's credible to think it was back then. It's interesting to see there's a bit of a split across otherwise, but yeah, it took us about sort of 6 months to get the first version working, and it was the middle of 2012 we released version 1.0.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's coming 10 years from now that we got the tabular engine the first time in Power Pivot. So
yeah, I was actually talking to one of the Microsoft guys because at the time they used to write Excel would generate MDX and the measures were in DAX, and it seemed really strange that you had these two languages nested inside each other. And he said, "Oh no, there's a whole query language behind DAX that works," and that started off this whole experience.
Yeah, and what an experience it has been for all these years, and the tabular engine has just taken over the whole world now, almost. Yeah.
amazing. Even to like having VertiPack embedded in SQL now with the column store indexes.
Yeah. It's really
It's an
spread.
amazing engine.
Yeah, absolutely. And the DAX language has also just been evolving since then.
Yep.
But coming from MDX, there are some things that you still miss. but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see the leaderboard. We had 6 people answering that one correct. So Amadeo from Italy is on the top. The one answering the quiz. Let's have the next question. This is a multi-select. So what languages does DAX Studio support? So here you can answer 1, 2, 3 or 4 correct. And if just one of them your answer is incorrect, you won't get any points. But if you partially answer correct, you will get a point for that. So what languages does DAX Studio support? Yeah, not so surprisingly, all people answering DAX.
Yep. Yeah, and we actually get the support from the tabular engine. It understands DAX, MDX, and DMX. So DMX is actually the data mining extensions, and that's what they use for the DMV queries. So when you're doing select star from $system.discover connections, you're running a DMX query.
That's quite funny why it's called. It is coming from the mining language, but used for the DMVs. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of built-in features, I believe, in DAX Studio where you can call all these DMVs, right?
Yeah. Yep. As well as just exposing them so people can query them. A lot of we build the metadata pane on our own. We're not using any of the Microsoft libraries for that. We're using some of the DMVs to discover all of the information about the model we're connected to. And some of the VertiPack analyzer is using DMVs to discover all of that in-depth information about the memory usage and the compression and all of that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and of course, Klingon wasn't one of the right ones. And I don't believe you will support Klingon anytime.
No, maybe version 3,
Let's see. We had this quiz 2 weeks ago around localization, and I believe that was actually one of the questions from where Klingon was what was supported as a language. It was really strange.
Yep.
Let's see who is on top now, and we have Benny on top, but a lot of people are coming in close here. So let's see the next question. So how many different types of traces does DAX Studio support? And then afterwards, Darren, you can tell us what they are, the different traces. But how many? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Yep. So there's a split between 2 and 3, but yeah, there are 3 different types of traces. There's the query plan trace, the server timings trace, and there's also an all queries trace.
Oh.
So we did the first 2 with the server timings and the query plans, which help you sort of track a single query that's running from DAX Studio. So anything you type, it would track those events in the engine and report them back. And a bit later, we added the all queries trace, which lets you connect and capture anything that's coming from any client, which was I think it was a suggestion from Alberto or Marco,
Probably, yeah.
because we were trying to see what the pivot tables were doing in Excel and how they were generating some of their queries, and
That's why.
so this lets you listen to the pivot tables, but it now also works for before we had the performance analyzer in Power BI, you could connect to Power BI desktop, and then as you clicked around, we would capture the queries. So it was a good way early in those days before that existed to be able to capture queries. Yeah. It still works. You can use it for analysis services or Azure analysis services to see what queries other people and other client tools are generating.
Nice. Oh, yeah. So 3 different choices. Let's see. And now we have Sue on top of the leaderboard. Congratulations so far. Let's have the next one. Multi-select. Which of the following data sources is not supported by DAX Studio? So as a data source for DAX Studio. So, and here there could be 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of them that is not supported. And 10 seconds to go. 5. And yeah, it was a multi-select, but there was only one of them that was not supported.
Yep, so you can actually connect to Power BI premium workspaces using their XML endpoint, but the shared workspaces don't have the XML endpoint. They do have the old, there's the old Analyze in Excel endpoint that lets external tools connect in, but Microsoft doesn't support that with their .NET provider. So the DAX Studio is all written in .NET, so we can't actually connect and authenticate against Power BI Shared or the Pro workspaces at the moment, which is a shame. I don't know if that will change at some point. I think technically the way they've built the XML endpoint, it's possible for them to provide a read-only, but I don't know if that's on their roadmap at all or not. So, but at least you can, if you've got a model in a shared workspace, you've hopefully got the Power BI desktop file, and you can hook into your model and test it that way.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if you're doing performance tuning, it's probably better in an isolated environment where you don't have noise from other queries and other services. If you're trying to do consistent performance testing anyway, but it would be nice to be able to say we connect to any sort of data source.
But maybe it will come in the future part, and it's just not. It's not because you're not willing to do it. It's technical limitation.
Yep. And Power Pivot workbooks were the first data source.
The initial release, still working.
Yep.
I'm not sure how many people still are using Power Pivot, but it's still supported.
Yep.
So let's see. And now we have Benny on top again. So, but it's really close here in the top 5. Let's have the next one. Multi-select and also double points. So here you can score a lot of points. So which of the following will let you see if an aggregate table has been used? So this is if you're using aggregate tables.
Yep.
So again, multi-select, so you can answer 1, 2, 3, or 4 correct.
It's a bit more of a niche question. I'm not sure how many people are using aggregate tables, but
no, I'm not sure either.
Yep. So it was interesting with aggregate tables because I actually got it's one of the few times I've actually had one of the people from Microsoft reached out and said, "Oh, we've got this new event coming in, the trace event coming in. So it'd be great if there was some way of being able to see it in DAX Studio." And so I've added it to the server timings trace. Will show you details about which aggregate table's been hit and if the query was remapped to to use the aggregate instead of using your detail table. And also when you're doing an all queries trace, it shows a little an icon, there's a little circle next to the query. It's an empty circle if the aggregate was missed. It's a filled in black circle if all the aggregates were hit, and it can also be a half filled circle, because you can Power BI can generate multiple queries in a batch. You can have evaluate table 1, evaluate table 2. One of them might hit an aggregate, and the other one might not. So the all queries trace will tell you if the batch had a full, partial, or no hits on the aggregates. Each trace gives you the details of all of the events. So
yeah. I believe for people working with aggregate tables, this is a pretty neat feature, and to be able to performance optimize your queries and reports.
Yep, and make sure those aggregates you've spent all that time building and designing are actually getting used properly.
Yeah. It's a whole different world. This with aggregate tables in Tabular than it was in MATLAB, because there we also were very interested in seeing if queries were hitting the aggregate tables, or the aggregations as it was called.
Yep.
So it was all queries, traces, and server timing traces. So let's see. And it changes a lot on the scoreboard here. So we have Tatiana climbing up to the top, followed by Benny and the winner from last week, Ricardo or Nexus. So let's have the next one. True or false? The major limiting factor on the export data feature is the amount of available memory. Is that true or false?
Ooh, it's pretty even split. Yeah, so the data export feature was actually one of the ones that we've had. The main two contributors to DAX Studio are Marco and myself, but we've also had a few features from contributed from Rui Romano, and he started off the export feature. It was sort of my initial thoughts were that, well, people have pulled data from a data source, so if you need the details, it's already outside Power BI. But I've seen a lot of people do a lot of transformations, getting stuff into Power BI, and they want that cleansed data exported out for whatever reason. So the export feature we've built does streaming. I can't remember if it was 2.12 or 2.13 where was it 2.11? But recently I updated the engine to use batches of top-end skip in the queries, so I can get chunks of a million rows at a time and stream them out to a SQL Server or file. So I tested on my 16 gig laptop, and I've exported a 20 gig CSV. It took about an hour and a half. There was like 120 million rows in the model. Impressively, Power BI stores the model in a 1 gig PIBX file. And when I exported the data, it generated a 20 gig CSV. But yeah, because I streamed the data through and we grab million row chunks, time is really the limiting factor more than memory at the moment. The memory, Power BI stayed at around about 1 gigabyte, and DAX Studio was only using about 200 meg or 200 or 300 meg. It just stayed constant for the whole hour and a half that I ran the big export.
That's impressive, yeah. So yeah, the limiting factor is actually time and not the memory or other things on your machine.
Yeah, it used to be memory because we used to run a big evaluate statement, so it would materialize that on the tabular engine and often result in out of memory issues, but that's been fixed.
So let's see. Now we have Benny on top again, but still it's really close here at the top 5 at least, maybe also longer down the list. Let's see the next one. How many different types of output targets DAX Studio support? Is it 3, 4, 5, or 6? So output targets. So it's 6 different.
I think it's actually, yeah. It's 6, and it used to vary depending if you were connected to Excel or if you're running through the Excel add-in or through just standalone to connect to Power BI. But yeah, it's 6. So there's a default. Most people use the grid, which is the default. There's also a timings option, which basically just is used for performance. I don't know if a lot of people use it. I don't tend to use it much myself, but it basically doesn't display the results. It just executes the query and captures the timings. So it can be useful if you've got a big query and you don't want to wait for it to render all of those results in your query tab. You just want to measure the performance and the timing. There's also the file export is another one that's used. You can output the CSV or tab delimited text file. There's a new one where you can run a query to the clipboard. So there's a clipboard target, and there's also 2 Excel targets. And like I said, Excel used to only work with the Excel add-in because we're running inside Excel, we could talk straight back to Excel. But there's 2 Excel targets. One just puts a static copy to an Excel file. And the other one actually creates a pivot table, or not a pivot table, a query-based table, so it can be connected back to your data source, which can be useful if you've got a analysis services on-prem or Power BI Premium or one of those things that has a fixed server name, so you can sort of refresh the Excel sheet without having DAX Studio running.
Yeah, okay, that's the use case there. Okay. So yeah,
you can have disconnected Excel where it's got the query and the connection string embedded in it, and you can refresh that just using Excel functionality.
Oh, nice. So yeah, 6 different target types. So you have a lot of different options here. But yeah, as you also said, that the grid is the default, and that the one most people use, I also believe.
Yep. I can see Rishi's saying they've only got 3. Yeah, that would be an older version of DAX Studio. The 2 Excel sources are relatively new. The hard thing was finding an open source library that would let me generate Excel files sort of efficiently. And I think the clipboard's relatively new as well. So the 2 Excel sources and the clipboard are probably the last 6 months or so.
Okay. So that's why, yeah. So let's see. And now we have Ricardo on top. So can he win 2 weeks in a row? Let's see. When we go to the next one. How many results can DAX Studio return from a single query? And you only have 20 seconds to answer this one. Is it 1, 2, 3, or is it plus 15? So yeah, it's not just 1, 2, or 3. It's actually 15 plus. That's impressive.
Yeah, as I was telling you before, I think at the most I've tested was 16, and that was because I wanted to make sure the scroll bars in the because it generates a tab for each result set. So if you do evaluate table 1, evaluate table 2, evaluate table 3, you'll get 3 numbered tabs down the left of the results to let you click between the different ones. And at one point I ran about 16 different queries so I could make sure that the scroll bars appeared on the tabs correctly.
Yeah.
And we didn't have results that you couldn't get to.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Because it must be because you can have 100, but then then it will be very small to see them all.
Yep.
But yeah, the most use cases you won't have more than a couple, I believe. I can't imagine a use case where you will have plus 15 at least.
No. And most often when I'm doing multiple, it's because I'm looking at a query that Power BI, some of the visuals in Power BI will generate multiple queries. I think like the matrix will generate one for the body of the matrix and one for the totals. So you get two result sets if you capture a query from a matrix in Power BI.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. So we have 7 people who got this one correct. So now we still have Ricardo on top and Andy Amadeo following. So before the last question, no, 2 questions left. So true or false, in order to connect to Power BI Desktop, you must launch DAX Studio from the external tools menu. So is it true or false? And the majority got this one correct.
Yep. Yeah, I was just thinking we probably should have put this one earlier, and it's a little bit of an easier one because the external tools menu is relatively new in Power BI, and for a long time DAX Studio's had the ability to scan your machine for running instances of Power BI and so if you've already got your Power BI file open, when you open DAX Studio, the little connection dialog will show you a drop down with that'll let you pick which file to connect to.
Yeah, I use that option very often. It's very easy, and you don't have to go in and find a port number to connect to the right one and so on.
Yeah, it was quite fiddly finding all of the MSMD serve instances and which ports they were listening on, and then if you've got multiple, you've got to figure out which one's that Power BI file versus that Power BI file.
So I don't believe this has changed anything on the scoreboard, and no, it hasn't. So before the last question and before we announce the winner, we have Ricardo still on top. Can he win 2 quizzes in a row? Let's have the last question here. So double points here. What is the name of the language displayed in the details of the server timings tab? So quite techy question here. Is it DAX SQL, MX SQL, XM SQL, or DX SQL? And I'm completely honest, and I said I didn't knew that.
Yeah, it's really just a read-only language. The XM SQL, it's a way of getting some text out that simply shows people what the storage engine was doing, what sort of operations, what sort of joins and filters were being applied. So yeah, I'm not sure where the name XM SQL comes from, but that's the name of the. It looks like SQL, but it's not. It's just they've sort of taken the object graph of all of the operations they've performed and sort of compiled it into a language that looks a bit SQL-like. You see selects and froms and joins, but it's not a language you can actually execute. Marco's been doing a fair bit of work recently that'll come out in the next version. It's sort of simplifying some of that to make it a bit easier to read than the default stuff that the engine generates too.
Oh. Yeah, let's see how the podium ended. So on a 3rd place, we have Benny with 6 out of 10. Congratulations. And we have Amadeo also with 6 out of 10. And with 7 out of 10 we have Nexus. That's Ricardo from Spain. I don't believe we ever had one person winning 2 quizzes in a row. So congratulations to you, Ricardo, on getting another gift card for Lego. And if you haven't used the first one, then you have 2 now that you can buy some really cool stuff. So congratulations. And also thank you for everyone for being part of the quiz. And yeah, hopefully you all learned something new around DAX Studio. And also thank you very much, Darren, for coming up so early and delivering this quiz around the tool you are using so much time to build for all of us. It's really impressive what you have achieved with just your spare time project here around for the last 8 years with this. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Interesting to sort of see what people know and understand. I'm sure there's a huge range of depth. I mean, I often tell people I don't even use all of the features in DAX Studio.
Because you have this GitHub where people can request features. So some of the features you just develop because of other people requesting them, right?
Yeah. So, and there's often 2 or 3 ways of doing things, different patterns of the way people use things. So yeah, the GitHub's got an issues page where you can request features, and there's actually a link in the help bar in DAX Studio that'll take you straight to the correct place for
nice
logging bugs or suggesting features.
And if you want to have see more around DAX Studio and Darren, then please join the webinar. Was it next week with Reed Havens? It's Friday.
Yeah, I think so, because it'll be. I think it's another more early morning for me, but I think 7 o'clock, not 6. So,
yeah. So once again, you're up early, and then at that point it will then be Saturday for you.
Yeah. So I think it'll be the 21st because it's the 22nd my time. Because I'm a day in the future.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. And then 2 weeks from now we will have Daniel Otika joining the quiz around with a quiz around, of course, Tabular Editor. So that will also be very interesting. Also a quiz that I look very much forward to. This is the two main community tools a lot of us users use around Power BI and analysis services, Tabular, DAX Studio, and Tabular Editor. And if we are lucky, there will be some questions or maybe some information around the upcoming release of Tabular Editor, the version 3 that is just around the corner from my information at least. So yeah. Have a nice day, Darren. Now you can start your work day, full day ahead of you, and some of other of us is having nighttime, and other people have half day. So thank you everyone for attending the quiz, and see you in an upcoming show. So yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.